Hello everyone, welcome to the inaugural episode of the Hollywood City Vlog. My name's Corey. We just got done beating Manchester United. Let's raise a glass and celebrate the occasion. So we're going to start off today's episode by talking about City's formation. City have been using the 3-4-2-1 formation that I've written about extensively. Feel free, go back and read my articles on that. Today, Guardiola decided to try something a little bit different. He came out in a 4-4-2 in defense, which isn't entirely unusual for City, but in attack, we had more of a 2-4-4, which is definitely a little bit different. The heart of defense today was Fernandinho and Otamendi. Fernandinho was fantastic. Otamendi was very Otamendi. On the right side of the field, we had Walker. On the left side, we had Benjamin Mendy. Both played a little bit different role today. Mendy was a little bit more reserved than he typically is. He was not advancing into forward positions down the left quite as much as we become accustomed to. Walker, on the other hand, while he was generally held back, was given a lot more license to roam forward than we've seen him have a lot this season. And that's actually kind of interesting, just because Kyle Walker is a lot better when he's allowed to use his pace for effect. Keeping him back actually sort of takes something away from his game. So it was kind of nice to see him freed, and we'd see, as sort of the match progressed, how some of those marauding runs forward ended up creating room for City to attack. Now, the forward line was really interesting, right? So off the bat, we knew that Guardiola was going to mix things up. He was playing without a recognized striker. Some people might have been wondering, are we going to see Aguero today? He's finally back to form and fitness. Are we going to see Gabriel Jesus? He's been on a fantastic run for the past month. Guardiola decided, you know what? Neither. Instead, what we got today was Bernardo and De Bruyne playing as a pair of effectively false nines. But they may as well have been free tens. You can call them whatever you want because there was really no defined position to where you would find them on the pitch. One moment, Bernardo was dropping deep, replacing Gundogan's position with Rodri as a midfield two. The next, De Bruyne's popping up in Kyle Walker's position. They were unmarkable. Sometimes Mahrez would come inside, sometimes Sterling would come inside. It created real nightmares for United's back line. This was a whirling dervish of motion at the front of City's line. So even with a little bit more defensive formation and with a little bit more defensive solidarity, City were still able to perform a lot of attacking moves. And most of those great moves started with one man, Bernardo Silva. And we need to talk about him because Bernardo was brilliant. For City's first goal today, Kyle Walker takes a pass off of Kevin De Bruyne, I believe, and runs into space. In doing so, in running forward, he drags Fred with him. Fred compacts the United back line, and Bernardo, actually, sitting in a deeper position, sort of follows the run of Walker, sits down in space about 8 to 10 yards behind him. Walker turns, plays a simple little back pass. Fred tries to recover back out. That should be his general assignment, but he can't. He can't get there. Bernardo gets a step on him. He steps a little bit closer to the United back line, cuts to his left, and before Periera can get there, he unleashes an absolute belter of a left foot, beats De Gea and blasts the bar. It was a beautiful, stunning, incredible goal. And while everybody's going to credit Bernardo, and they should, it was really Pep and his ability to create that space by sending Walker forward that created that pocket of space for Bernardo to play into. It was really brilliant, but because City had been drifting all over the pitch, United had no idea who to mark. Fred couldn't recover. Periera could not recover out in time, and Phil Jones, being Phil Jones, screwed everything up and never stepped out. It shouldn't have been as simple as it was, but it's simply down to the fact that City's movement up until that point had been impossible for United to mark. For City's second goal, this comes only a few minutes later, Bernardo is going to take the ball at midfield off of a header that United had won. So he wins the second ball, right at midfield. He's going to take one touch, and he's going to play through Mahrez. But what really makes this play is De Bruyne at the front. He makes a diversionary run, pulling Phil Jones out to the right. That diversionary run out to the right is what creates the gap between Lindelof, who had come out to win the initial header, and Phil Jones. And Bernardo's going to play the ball right through that space. That through ball is measured perfectly. The weight on it is incredible. Mahrez runs onto it just ahead of a lunging Lindelof. He's going to take one touch, sends De Gea the wrong way and onto his butt. He's round De Gea. He could have walked the ball into the back of the net. It was an incredible, brilliant, sublime move by Bernardo. His second in the space of 10 minutes, and he was just getting started. Bernardo ran this match, and just 5 minutes later, he's going to go ahead. He's going to add to it. Bernardo is going to latch on to a Kevin De Bruyne header. Again, just before midfield, he's going to take one touch, and this time with his weak foot, his right foot, he's going to play through Mahrez again. This through ball cuts through. It releases a 3v3 attack. City are going to have Sterling, Mahrez, and De Bruyne running in a combination of Brandon Williams, Phil Jones, and a retreating Periera. Brandon Williams actually does really well. You know, he kind of heroically gets across the face of Mahrez, toes the ball away. The problem is that it falls right to De Bruyne, and anytime De Bruyne is free with one man to beat in front of goal, that's going to end pretty badly for your defense. Sure enough, De Bruyne drags the ball forward. He feints to his right and unleashes a point-blank left-footed blast into the chest of De Gea. De Gea does well to not get killed, so, credit him for that. Unfortunately, the ball ricochets off of him. It caroms off of Periera and into the back of the United net. And there you have it. After 38 minutes, City are 3 goals to the good, and that's the match. United are going to have an opportunity to draw one back, and that's going to be because Nicolas Otamendi is terrible, right? We've been saying this all year. This is nothing new. I can't overstate it. When Nicolas Otamendi is on the pitch, he is a walking disaster waiting to happen. And don't get me wrong, he had good moments today. He won out. He won some headers. He won some tackles. He wasn't his worst version. And still, he was pretty bad. We're going to talk about the goal in a minute, but before we ever get to the goal, in the 8th minute, United have their first really good counterattacking opportunity. They play a ball down the right channel, and Mason Greenwood is in space. He's got Rashford making an underlapping run inside of him, and he just plays the ball in to Rashford. Very simple, diagonal ball. Otamendi should have him marked, right? He's got him outside. All he has to do is continue to show Rashford onto his right, but not let him get ahead. Instead, Otamendi foolishly lunges in with his left foot. He comes nowhere near the ball. Rashford takes one step, he's ahead of him, and he delivers a low, hard ball right across the face of City's goal. Claudio Bravo is beat, and honestly, if Daniel James makes a near-post run, it's very likely that inside of 8 minutes, United lead. Instead, Daniel James drives the heart of City's 6-yard box. Fernandinho cuts the ball out, and nothing comes of it. But it's an example of how Otamendi and his complete lack of judgment can really, really hurt a defense. Now we come to the goal. And the goal is just basic 5th grade defending. So Otamendi and Fernandinho are staring down Mason Greenwood as he runs through the heart of City's defense unopposed. Fernandinho has him marked. He's got Rashford in support. Now, Rashford's going to peel off to the right and into space, but it's a run that Otamendi should have easily tracked. He can clearly see Rashford making that run in his peripheral vision. There's no reason for him to not just turn, shape his body, stick with his man, let Fernandinho stick with Greenwood. He's still 25, 30 yards from goal. Instead, he just lets Rashford go. He receives the ball in space. He's got plenty of the goal to shoot at and finishes, honestly, a relatively easy chance. It's not Claudio Bravo's fault. He was left for dead by his defense. And it's something that we see routinely with Otamendi. And with Aymeric Laporte nearing his return, that can't possibly come soon enough. It's good to see that John Stones is back. And it's hard to believe that once Laporte is fit, especially if John Stones can get a run of games in, that we will be seeing much more of Nicolas Otamendi for the rest of this season. However, outside of that, this was a great match, and City are going to go ahead. They're going to take a 3-1 lead back to the Etihad on the finishing leg of this, and we're going to have an opportunity to once again play for the Carabao Cup. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking around. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment with any feedback that you have. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter. Check out my writing on Reddit. And if you really like this content, head over to my Patreon page. The link is in the description. And go ahead and give me a subscription there. I'd really appreciate it. In the meantime, here's to you, Vincent Company.